Man. Oh, man. Oh. Uh. Okay. I'm here today to talk about how I crashed and burned into the Lord of the Rings fandom. Hi. Disclaimer here, I don't actually know how to use the internet, so if this is terrible, I don't care. I'm still brand new, so I don't know a lot, but oh my god, you guys. So, like a lot of people my age, I kind of grew up watching Lord of the Rings, but unlike a lot of people my age, I have three siblings who are a lot older than me. So they were watching Lord of the Rings, and I was like the little kid, so a lot of the like scary bits I wasn't like allowed in the room for. And then when I was a little bit older, they were like the movies that my siblings had watched. Like they weren't, like wasn't cool. So like I had a lot of like memories of Smeagol and stuff, but I didn't know anything really, and I hadn't actually like watched the movies. And then fast forward to high school, where me and a couple of my friends, one friend specifically, got really into Lord of the Rings, like the movies. We watched them so many times. I have seen the Lord of the Rings movies dozens of times. I don't even know how many times, dozens of times. We were obsessed. I think I was a freshman in high school, actually, when I decided to read the books. And I'd always been a big reader, but still, I definitely was not a sophisticated enough reader to appreciate The Lord of the Rings, which might not even be fair to say because I know a lot of people read them when they're that age and love them. So maybe I was just like a dumbass. I don't know, but so I have my camera propped on it, so that's not gonna work. I cannot show it to you. I had all three in like one volume. I know it's really only one book. Don't come for me, okay? I don't care. I treat it as three so that it looks better on Goodreads. And that's just the truth. So I read half. I read the Fellowship, and then I read half of Two Towers, roughly. And I'm pretty sure I got up to Helm's Deep. I think I read through Helm's Deep, and then I, like, gave up. I left the bookmark, though, in the book for years after. Like, I always intended to finish it. But I didn't. And I finished high school. I went through college. I got an English degree. Fast forward to now, and this year I was like, this is the year I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna read The Lord of the Rings. I don't care how long it takes me. I don't care if it's the only thing I read this year. Like, I'm gonna read it this year. And it hasn't been the only thing I read this year, but I'm taking it very slowly, and I'm taking breaks and stuff, and I'm reading other things also. That's also just how I am. I tend to read like 6 books at a time, but I'm not taking breaks because I'm bored or because I'm like overwhelmed. I find myself taking breaks or like reading other things because when I'm reading The Lord of the Rings, I want to sit in it and like read it really slowly and like just wrap myself in it, and I want to like reread passages because they're so beautiful. And okay, I'm pretty much at the point I was where I gave up the first time. So I have read through Helm's Deep and a little bit further. I think we're in Isengard right now, where I last stopped. And I just, everything that I didn't like about it the first time, I love now. I don't feel like it's dry at all, which I feel like is a common like thing that people say. Not people who love the books though. I love the amount of time that he takes to dig into every little aspect of this world, to check in on these little tiny characters that somehow, even though they're only there for like a handful of pages, still are so alive. And I mean, the callbacks to things like when they get to Isengard Aragorn and Legolas and Gimli finally meet up again with Merry and Pippin. And they're talking about the, like, half-goblin soldiers from Isengard. Aragorn mentions, I think it was Aragorn, mentions a man that they saw in Bree who was, they called him the Southerner, and they mentioned that he, like, looked like kind of like a goblin or whatever. And I had totally forgotten about that guy. Like, I did not remember him. I wasn't thinking about him. I had ceased to care about him a long time ago. And then Aragorn says this little thing about how that's probably why he looked that way and why he was so suspicious, and he might have been a spy for Saruman. And just those little things that, and they're so real, because as a reader, I might forget about that guy, but as someone who lived it, he wouldn't have forgotten. And I love that Tolkien didn't forget. Tolkien. Oh, I'm gonna say it wrong. Don't hurt me. Okay. Also, these books are funny. I'm not to say that people don't talk about that. I know that they do. But why don't we talk about that more? Oh my goodness. Pippin is hilarious. Pippin, okay, I have had a soft spot for Pippin ever since I first watched the movies. I love Pippin. Merry and Pippin both, but Pippin and their friendships, okay, that's a whole other, alright, okay. Okay, Pippin is freaking hilarious. His little attitude, the little things that he says, and yet they're so brave. Like, I'm sorry, I'm completely not making sense. I love them, and I love the friendships are so good. We're gonna okay, I give in. We're gonna talk about the friendships for a second. Okay. Frodo and Sam, I haven't visited in a while. I don't know where they are right now. I don't know when the last time we saw them was. Is that a thing? Are Frodo and Sam, like, not in the first half of book 2? Is that a thing? I'm gonna have to, like, check in on that after, and I'm gonna sound like a fool because probably they are in it. I just forgot. So, Frodo and Sam aside for a second. Not that I want to put Sam aside ever, but we're just gonna do it. Legolas and Gimli. I weep. I weep. I can't. I cannot verbalize the depth of my love for them. It makes me physically ache whenever we get those little scenes with them. Battle of Helm's Deep. Okay, they're talking, and Legolas says to Gimli, he says, "You comfort me," and I can't. They're so soft. All of them are so soft, and it's so beautiful. And I know that there's a whole other discussion that is had about how people look at Lord of the Rings as, like, the battles and, oh, so cool, and they'll write, like, Lord of the Rings rip-off fantasy that's all, like, glorifying war, and how, like, that's the exact opposite of what Tolkien was trying to do. That's another conversation. I can't. I can't stand it. You can see that what he believes and the ideas that he has about the world, they come through in his writing, but he's not pushing them. He's not, like, sitting there while he's writing, like, okay, how can I make sure my readers know this truth about the world? Like, he just has things that he believes, and it comes through in his writing, and that's something that I'm a really big proponent of. Like, I think that it's one thing to think about themes, like, while you're planning and while you're making decisions about your book outside of your writing time, but when you're actually sitting down and writing, that you shouldn't think about theme. That's what I personally, that I can make a video on that. But I also wanted to reread Narnia this year because I read those as a kid, and I read the first 3. I think I read the first 3, what number is Caspian? I don't know. I stopped halfway through Caspian because I was so bored. I don't like them. I don't like Narnia. Narnia's not good. It's boring and it's very on the nose. It's very preachy. It's very like, okay, I get it. I could have just read the Bible if I was gonna read this. Like, I don't know. So both like having just read that and now be reading this, and also knowing that Tolkien and Lewis were friends and the conversations that they had, like some of the conversations that they had that we know about, it's just really stood out to me, and it's hard not to make those comparisons, and I love it. I love it. I love it. And I don't know how he is making me homesick for this post-apocalyptic wasteland of a place, but the Ents are one of my favorite things that I've ever read about. When Treebeard sang the song about the Entwives, I wept. I love it so much, and I'm not even done with the series yet. Well, book. I know, I'm sorry, it's one book. I'm not done with the book yet, but I am like, I can't stop thinking about it. I can't stop talking about it. I had always figured that I would read Lord of the Rings, but I never really wanted to read like the other stuff. I've read The Hobbit, but like I didn't really want to read like the Silmarillion or any of those other, like, you know, those kinds of the books. I felt that I would be really bored and that I wouldn't be interested, but now I want it. And I'm almost nervous to say that I like want to dive headlong into this fandom, because I know that there's like a lot of content that can be consumed, and there's a lot to like learn about, but I want it. I want it. I want to wrap myself in it like a warm blanket and just sit in there forever and never leave. I just love it so much. I love it so much. I love it so much. One of my favorite books of all time. What is a book that I love more than I've loved this one? I don't know. Oh. And in like all the ways. Like it's like fun to read, and it's escapist, but it also makes me think, and it also makes me feel so much. Okay, I think I need to stop before I like have a breakdown. Anyway, I don't know if this is a thing or not. I guess it depends on how many more feelings I have about books. But hi, and thanks for listening to me rant, and I think I need to go read some more Lord of the Rings now. Bye. Oh, and like and subscribe too, I guess. I'm supposed to say that, right? I think.